An 18-year-old mother is now dead after Sanford police found her with a gunshot wound. Kaylin Fiengo was found in the driver's seat of the car that was parked near Coastline Park on 9th Street. West 2 Tonight Gebregereges spoke with her family, who say that she was expecting her second child.
And Patrick, they believe he killed her because she refused to get an abortion.
So many hearts are broken tonight because Kaylin was found shot and in Sanford. Police are looking for whoever is responsible.
She was targeted and was not, I believe she was. Deep down a feeling, I believe she was.
This is the story of Kaylin Marie Fiengo, an 18-year-old aspiring nurse and pregnant mother of one who was shot and lost her life in her car at the parking lot next to Coastline Park in Sanford, Florida. After a 10-month-long investigation, the Sanford Police Department finally zeroed in on the suspect and made an arrest in August 2023. According to official police reports, Kaylin was executed by her boyfriend after she refused to get an abortion. It was the night of November 11th, 2022, and Kaylin Fiengo was driving to Coastline Park to meet up with someone she knew. It was a regular Friday night, and Kaylin had left her 1-year-old son, Ace, in the care of his father, expecting to be back from the park soon to pick him up.
Her 1-year-old son was staying with his father when his mom was.
Sadly, after the events that transpired that night, she would never see her son or her family again. At around 11:20 p.m. the same night, a Sanford police officer was driving around the area of Coastline Park when he noticed the car parked in reverse in the parking lot with the engine still running and lights on. As he approached the vehicle, he noticed a young woman slumped over the driver's seat, and upon closer inspection, he was shocked to realize that the woman was lifeless, apparently due to a gunshot wound.
A Sanford police officer was in the area of Coastline Park around 11:20 Friday night. The officer found a vehicle that appeared to be running in a parking lot. Sanford PD says when the officer came closer to the vehicle, Kaylin was found inside, shot to death. Police say Kaylin was in the driver's seat and had a gunshot wound. Investigators believe she went to the location to try to meet up with someone she knew.
Tragically, after the officer reported the incident to the Sanford Police Department, the coroner announced that Kaylin Fiengo had been around 12 weeks pregnant at the time of her passing. Police later determined that she had been sitting inside her parked car when her assailant took her life. Following the incident, news of Kaylin's tragic passing made its way around the world, with dozens of newspapers and news stations from different countries covering the shocking incident. The Sanford community, as well as Kaylin's family and friends, were horrified to hear the news, and a fundraiser was immediately started by friends close to Fiengo's family to help organize the funeral. People close to Kaylin described her as loving, caring, mature, and a fun-loving person who lived for her baby son and was happily expecting the birth of her second child, and police failed to understand how someone could want to bring her harm. Although the crime had just been committed and there was no evidence that pointed to a particular suspect yet, Kaylin's father, Ricky Fiengo, immediately came out with a statement and announced that his daughter had been the prey of a targeted attack.
She was targeted, and that's not I believe she was. Deep down a feeling, I believe she was.
And asked anybody who had information or who may have ended his daughter's life to come forward, but his cries fell on deaf ears.
Just do the right thing, and what would you do if it was your mother or your child? We all should stick together and not let these people run our communities and be scared of them.
There were no eyewitnesses, but residents of Sanford who live close to Coastline Park mentioned that the shooting shook the Sanford community to its core, especially since it involved such a young mother that was so well liked by her friends, family, and community. 1 year before her passing, as a young teenage mother, Kaylin had graduated high school early in order to pursue her passion to become a nurse and to take care of her family, and it was incredibly sad to see her promising career and young life cut off by such a ruthless, senseless crime. Following the tragic loss, the Sanford Police Department immediately launched an investigation to find the person who ended Kaylin Fiengo's life. For several months, the case went quiet, and it wasn't entirely clear whether or not justice would be served. The Sanford community feared that the case had gone cold in the absence of solid leads, But in August 2023, almost 10 months after the incident, the investigation took a surprising turn. According to a statement released by the Sanford Police Department, investigators had discovered that in the weeks leading up to her execution, Kaylin had been involved in several arguments with her boyfriend at the time, a suspect police identified as 21-year-old Donovan Faison. Although it was not confirmed whether he was the father of Kaylin's unborn child, Donovan had reportedly urged Kaylin to get an abortion several times, but Kaylin repeatedly refused, which had been the focus of their recent argument. On November 11th, Kaylin had gone to Coastline Park to meet up with Donovan, possibly once again to discuss the pregnancy. Police have stated that Donovan's frustration and anger with Kaylin's refusal to end her pregnancy was the main motive behind the execution, but it hasn't yet been confirmed if the two of them actually spoke on that day, or if Kaylin's ex-boyfriend shot her as soon as she arrived at the park. The information, along with an exact timeline of the execution, will most likely surface in the near future. But regardless of the details, the Sanford Police Department Neighborhood Response Unit arrested Donovan Faison on Tuesday, August 29th, with no incident.
Donovan Faison appearing before a judge Wednesday morning after police arrested him for the death of Kaylin Fiengo and her unborn child.
I find probable cause on count 1, probable cause on count 2. On each count, I will set your bond at none or no bond.
Although the majority of states do not recognize the personhood of an unborn child in most aspects of the law, there are 30 states in which homicide laws also apply to killing an unborn child, including Florida. Because of this, Faison has been charged with 2 counts of felony homicide, one for Kaylin and one for her unborn child, and is currently being held in Seminole County Jail with no possibility of bond. He received his charges from the judge with an emotionless face, although his next court appearance won't be until October.
Now, as far as Faison goes, his next court appearance is in October, and as for his arrest affidavit, that was sealed Wednesday morning at his first appearance.
With the double homicide charge, it's almost a guarantee that he will be living the rest of his life behind bars. However, because the homicide happened in Florida and Donovan Faison was over 18 years old at the time of the crime, it's possible that he will receive capital punishment. In many cases, when the crime is committed by a relatively young offender, the court sometimes decides to waive capital punishment as a punishment option, and the criminal is sentenced to life without parole instead. While this is a possibility, the severity of the crime committed by Faison might push the court to sentence him to capital punishment regardless of his age. Police have clarified that the reason they took so long to arrest the suspect was because although they had some indicators that pointed to Donovan Faison as the person responsible for the passing of Kaylin Fiengo, investigators wanted to make sure the case against him was airtight, so that there was no way Donovan could be acquitted due to a lack of evidence. In the words of Sanford Police Chief Cecil Smith, our investigators have made sure every possible shred of evidence was processed and analyzed in order to bring Kaylin's assailant to justice. As the oldest of 4 siblings, Kaylin left behind her brother, Blaze, and her sisters, Addie and Aubrey. Her family described her as a caring, responsible older sister that always looked out for her siblings. She was also survived by her 1-year-old son, Ace, her loving parents, and her friends. She loved spending time with her family and taking care of her son, and she would frequently upload pictures of him to social media, showing how proud of him she was. At the time of her passing, Kaylin had been attending Seminole State College of Florida since 2021 to become a nurse, and is remembered by her mother as a caring mom and a dedicated student. She was expected to graduate 2026. In her mother's statement to the press, she tenderly mentioned that during her high school graduation, Kaylin wore a cap decorated with the words, "Mommy did it," along with the imprint of her baby son's feet. Today, a banner in memory of Kaylin Fiengo still hangs from a fence in Coastline Park, where her friends, family, and members of her community often leave balloons, flowers, gifts, and candles to remember Kaylin.
Park in Sanford. Today, a banner in memory of 18-year-old Kaylin Fiengo still hangs from the fence near this scene.
Even though nothing can fill the hole left by Kaylin's tragic passing in her community, hopefully the arrest and upcoming trial will bring her assailant to justice and bring a sense of closure to her ever-loving family. Some of her friends, who knew her as KK, have also commented on how the arrest has brought a bittersweet sense of closure after a painful 10 months of grieving and confusion.
Encarnacion says she's relieved the police made this arrest.
I was happy that then they had made an arrest and everything, because this was something that, you know, no parent should have to go through, and then you don't know what done happened to your child and your grandchild, you know.
It did take a long time. It's very bittersweet. It makes it feel more real. Definitely that he's in jail now, but I'm just happy that justice is finally being served for her.
There's just a lot of emotions. Very happy, but also sad that this is something that we're like celebrating or whatever.
Since the case has not yet gone to trial, court records are not available to the public yet, but more information on her passing will surface in the coming weeks as the trial advances. Until then, rest in peace, Kaylin.